in a better way. All right. Thank you very much, viewers, wherever you're watching us from. This is Kasa TV, and I'm your host, Joe Bongera, for the program Let's Chat. Today on set, I'm privileged to have OKIYA OMTATAH, who is a long-term serving human rights activist and a defender of our constitution. Today is going to put it into perspective. Whether have we gained from the corridors of justice? OKIYA OMTATAH, thanks for having you on set. How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you very much. A quick one. We have seen the LSK chairman Nelson Afi headed to court to challenge the CBC curriculum that is very expensive to the commoners and the parents. What is your make out of that, sir?
I think it's a good development because I personally, on 31st December 2019,
yes,
I filed a petition number 417 in the High Court challenging the way the CBC was being rolled out.
Yes.
And the case is pending there. It's supposed to be determined, I think, this coming quarter when the court resumes.
All right.
And so it's encouraging to see that some other people are also seeing a problem with this CBC. And as late as it is very important that the Law Society and anybody else who has got issues with the way the system is being introduced and rolled out,
yes,
can challenge it. And it's not just the CBC, there has been a lot of impunity in the way things have been done in terms of policy.
Yes.
You can take the example of the police uniforms.
All right.
If you ask anybody how were they arrived at, who designed it, who proposed it, who consented to it, who gave the approval, you will not get anywhere.
Yes.
So just by executive fiat, there's some sort of did it, and you can even be left thinking that maybe they did it because they wanted to supply the material.
All right.
So the CBC equally have been claims that there are very many vested interests.
All right.
Which are doing it for short-term gain. But I'll not talk so much because, as I've told you, I've got a petition.
Yes.
Which I filed in 2019.
Right.
It has been, we've been fighting within court, and the judge is said to give a judgment either in October or November. So,
OKIYA OMTATAH, in your own perception, you feel like education sector has been politicized? Because this, because
I don't think it's that as simple as that. Not politicization, because if you look at who is driving it,
yes,
is the former colonial master, and most likely their interest is to control the content that goes into the heads of our children.
Yes.
So that the neo-colonial project can continue, whereby we continue admiring the West.
All right.
And feeling inadequate to the West.
So, in other terms, this is a curriculum. This is a curriculum that is forced into the throats of Kenyans without proper consultations, according to you. Because I have heard that the chief whip in the Senate is moving a motion so that the government can disband more of levies for the food to the primary kids and the secondary kids, other than treating the menace of the education sector itself, this curriculum that everybody is complaining about.
Well, I'm not qualified to comment on that because I've not seen the document you are referring to.
Yes.
I'm hearing it for the first time. But given that the Senate is an institution of record,
yes,
and it has got its own thresholds and standards, I think that whatever is there, if it's allowed for debate, should be merited.
All right.
And all I can do is to wait and see,
yes,
how the politicians address the issue.
All right.
But I think the question of education required some sober interrogation. Because there's also the original partners and what have you. But it was not just a question of consultation. The problem goes deeper because you'd find that among some of the documents that I came across and raised a flag over
Yes.
are the studies. How could the JICA, who is supposed to be doing the study, give us a study on China? You see?
Yes.
How did JICA do it, a study on its own country, if it is promoting the system and whatever? And the same also you'll find that the British Council is doing, telling you case studies from elsewhere, not on Britain. And so you wonder why it is that there's no clear path to ownership of that proposal.
Yes.
And then, of course, there were the local issues of public participation. And besides public participation, in something as fundamental as that, we would have expected Parliament to have a say. So some of us expect that a policy of that nature requires a white paper to be published, so that you can have proper deliberation, because it is Parliament which allocates funds.
Now, a quick one, Bwana OKIYA OMTATAH.
When we needed to know how much will it cost.
Yes.
And that will only come out through Parliament. And so that Parliament could then be adequately prepared to finance it, or say we don't have the funds to finance it. So those things were not done, and that's where we are now, left with the egg on our face. In many ways, if I look at the media, they reported in the media, although reports in the media carry the biases of whoever is reporting, generally the reports are indicative of some problem on the ground, that there's something is amiss with the project, and maybe it was not well thought out.
Yes.
May have been a knee-jerk reaction, or it could be a situation like what we had in Kenya when we were told a story that is told that when Daniel Arap Moi visited Israel for the first time,
yes,
the Kenya Airways jet was received by jet fighters,
right?
Like Israeli Air Force.
Yes.
They came back and began replicating the same without taking into consideration the type of jets we had. Their speed was the speed of a jumbo jet.
Yes.
And we ended up losing some pilots and a jet in Naivasha, which crashed, because they wanted a replication of that. So that kind of knee-jerk reaction, or reaction to the glimmer, or as you say, you see that your neighbors, that they say you don't admire the green grass in your neighbor's compound.
Yes.
The cause might be a broken sewer. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you.
We are not taken into account, and personally I think that there was a slight problem that needed to be addressed, and so at the policy level, government has got the right to come up with the policies.
Yes.
But under the Constitution of Kenya, it has to be consultative, and professionals have to be involved. It cannot be dictated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, a quick one. OKIYA OMTATAH, for the longest time possible, you've been a defender of the Constitution. Wherever you see things are not working out, and you've been there for the defense of the Kenyan, the less fortunate people, where me and several others are counted. Very many people who are of your same stature, and God forbid, who are no longer there, the likes of Professor Wangari Maathai, the likes of Rielo Manduri, and others. Now it seems you always alone. What is it that you can tell fellow Kenyans so that we can have a collective responsibility? For instance, the issue of devolution, which is supposed to be catered for by the senators. The senators are supposed to be the watchdogs of the devolution. You find that now they are politicking much than vesting the interest of the Kenyans as they were bestowed with them. What is it that you can tell your fellow Kenyans before we jump into whether the BBI was a good document that was thrown out from High Court, Court of Appeal, and it's headed to Supreme? What will be its wrong land? Kindly for that.
Well, maybe I may not be the best placed to answer that question. Because all said and done,
yes,
there are reasons why people are elected. The voters have got their own reasons for electing people.
Yes.
And that could be the problem we are having. But all said and done, I think that the question of devolution
Yes.
runs much deeper, and we must look at the issue of separation of powers.
Yes.
Whereby the politicians who were elected decided to surrender their autonomy to the executive. And so the executive has been running both houses on the call and beck of the president, which may have been one of the problems that you find we are not able to get the proper policy discussions or proper legislation, because all those politicians are pandering to be good to the executive. And number two,
yes,
there's an attempt by, like, if in the Senate, a majority of them are angling to be governors, and so they don't spend much time doing their legislation and oversight. And so there's a lot of that happens. But all said and done, I think the institutions are also still new. They're finding their feet.
Yeah.
And I think that with time, the presidential system will mature in Kenya, and the various checks and balances that are inbuilt in the constitution will come to fruition, and we shall benefit as a country and as a people.
OKIYA OMTATAH, before you proceed, there's somebody who is called Robert Kwenya. Hello?
I'm listening.
Robert Kwenya is tweeting from Busia, and is asking, can you ask Honorable OKIYA OMTATAH, the aspiring senator for Busia County, whether he will remain the same or he will change once elected if the Busia people decide? You also on the race?
Yeah, even last time I lost narrowly to Amos Wako, and I'm running again.
Yes.
But I don't know the means by what I will change or not. Of course, I'll change. I'll wear a necktie when I go to the Senate.
Yes.
I don't wear a necktie normally. So some of those kind of habitual changes will occur. But in terms of character, I don't see why anything should change me, because I have got convictions. And I'm not looking for a job. I'm not looking for a job in the Senate.
Yes.
I'm looking to go and do some legislation and oversight that I feel is missing in the Senate at both the national and at now the specific county level.
All right.
So there are also things like, if you look at the current problems you have been having, legislation on the impeachment of governors leaves a lot to be desired. And it has resulted in a situation whereby MCAs have held governors at ransom.
Yes.
So some of those things need to be looked into. And I've discussed with various think tanks, and there are things I think that if I went to the Senate, my primary goals would be to do oversight, to do representation.
A quick one. What do you think you are going to do different from what?
To legislate. I'll not do much more than that. So I don't know if I'll change or not, but I don't think there's anything in the Senate that can change me, because
what is that one thing that you can do that has
and my own motivation?
Yes.
Inspired by the social doctrine of the Catholic Church on social justice, on equity, on rule of law, on representation, and all those things informs a lot of what I do.
Yes.
So I don't think that what I do is not anchored on conviction. It is anchored on conviction and information.
Now, before we come back to the national politics, what is it, that one thing that you're going to do different from the incumbent Senator Honorable Amos Wako?
Well, I'll try to be more available on the ground. He has hardly been on the ground. I'll also try to be active in Parliament.
All right.
In terms of legislating and stuff like that. And I also want to very much do resource mobilization in terms of Busia, because Busia is strategically located, but hardly any clear direction on how that county can be developed to become a competitive global player, not just a national player. So those will be among the interests I want to look at and work on, especially offering a resource-based leadership in terms of the county in Busia.
All right. Now, I want us to take a very short commercial break, but when we'll come back, we'll talk more about national politics and your position in that national politics, because you have said that governors sometimes dance with the dance and wine, or wine and dance with the people are supposed to tame them. You've said that MCS normally hold the governors ransom or hostage. So kindly don't go far, because we're coming back to discuss more with Ndugu OKIYA OMTATAH. Stay tuned.
OKIYA Supermarket spread its branches around the country, with the new outlet being at Zimmerman around Roysamp area. OKIYA Supermarket's commodities and items are cheap and pocket-friendly to hoi pollois as compared to their competitors. Pay us a visit at OKIYA Supermarket and ascertain by yourself along Zimmerman Mirema Drive. Don't miss out this golden chance of shopping with us at OKIYA Supermarket, Nairobi.
Wow. Viewers, thanks for keeping here in Kasa TV. Once more again, I'm Joe Bongera for the Let's Chat program. And today I've been kept warm here by none other than Mr. OKIYA OMTATAH, who is a good human rights activist. So far, so good, aspirated by Kenyans. Ndugu OKIYA OMTATAH, you are joining politics, and we want to believe that as one of the electorates from Busia County asked whether you will remain the same, we also believe that you will remain the same. Now to national politics. We've had kingpins. Do you think you have any kingpin from the Western region?
In terms of
political arenas.
I think right now the domain, the Western domain, the Eastern domain, the Central domain are largely very small domains to aspire to lead. So I'd want to play more on the national stage, whereby proper policies and activities, proper use or utilization of the budget, proper taxation laws, proper infrastructure and the representative infrastructure and stuff like that, and industrialization of this country can be carried out, instead of trying to break my back. Home guard.
Ndugu Mheshimiwa OKIYA OMTATAH, I couldn't want you to go around the bit around the bush. Straight to the point. We have about 4 or 5 senior politicians from your backyard. We have Wycliffe Ombata of Perenya. We have Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula. And then we have another serious individual, Francis Atwoli. Who do you think can call the shots from Western? Because the other day, we saw even young people like Marala crying for that there are no development which are being launched there. But before then, who are the people who can call shots? 1 or 2?
I think I'll ask you not to reduce me to a regional player.
Yes.
I wish you could ask me about Nyeri and also Mount Kenya. Because this is Kenya. I don't like to be compartmentalized.
All right.
This is Kenya. I'm a Kenyan. I believe in the national stage. And whatever is ailing Western, or is the same thing ailing Central, is the same thing ailing Rift Valley, is the same. The big man syndrome and the usual politics of individuals and no agenda. So I don't want to be drawn into that. All
right.
To see.
Well said.
Agenda, if I would be asked about leadership,
Yes.
in Western, ask me about Busia and why I want to remove Wako, I'll give you an answer.
Yes.
In nationally, national politics is about the presidency and the policies. I would like to contribute to policies and laws that create a really sustainable presidential system of government, and that brings development to all quarters of this country. Because what the people need is not to see one of them in power. What the people need is to be able to put food on the table. To be able to, and so we are a country that is still stuck on land, which can hardly meet our needs.
We
so
about
can land remain for food production and stuff? So, but livelihoods be driven by the service sector, the service industry, factory work, and what have you. So, can we work on industrializing this country?
Yes.
So that we move away from a peasant economy to a modern economy where people can move and live, and it doesn't matter where you come from. You still find that you are a citizen of this country and you belong everywhere and anywhere. Yeah, this regionalism, this whatever, is when people lack an agenda that they go back to regional politics.
All right.
To try and use initiative for mobilization.
Well said, Bwana OKIYA OMTATAH.
It has never worked.
Now.
It only benefits a small elite. Look at Gatundu, look at Baringo, look at Othaya. It benefits small elites.
All right.
It doesn't benefit the masses.
Thank you very much for that insight.
Poverty elimination.
Yes.
We need to facilitate and create opportunities. And we need to industrialize and create factory jobs.
Sure.
We need to make use of our airports.
Now, on a lighter note, the BBI saga, you were on record asking people, and more specifically the head of the state, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, to do an honorable thing and refund the money that was used in the longest period that they started championing for the BBI. Do you still hold the same thought?
Well, the courts have spoken on it.
Yes.
So what I hold cannot is of no value, even what the courts have said. And so, but me, I felt that not just Uhuru, but anybody who received money.
Yes.
For the BBI project, including the MCAs who are falling over themselves to pass it.
Yes.
Because there have been car grants.
Yeah.
Should really be held accountable. But as the courts have ruled, so be it. The Supreme Court is of a different view, we shall see.
Yes.
But the important thing is that the BBI has given us an opportunity to see that the judiciary works, that the other arms of government, the parliament and the executive respect the judiciary when it makes a decision.
Yes.
And so for me, much as I opposed the whole issue, I even filed, I was the first to file a case, but after 5 judges recused themselves, the matter was transferred to Kakamega. I just got shocked that my case was taken to Kakamega from Nairobi.
Why? Why did they do that?
Still lying there. I did not pursue it much, but since we have gotten victory in these others,
yes,
I am happy that what happened has happened because the institution of the judiciary has been tested, and the constitution has been tested, and it has delivered. And so to me, I think going ahead, let the rule of law prevail. Let the benefit those who aspire or who have leadership and who aspire for change and whatever, do it within the confines of the law. And the country will be the happier for everybody. But executive fiat has no room under the Kenyan jurisprudence, under the Kenyan dispensation rather. Yeah.
Now, lastly, I want to discuss about the state protection, those security people that are given to VIPs. Recently, we'd seen the withdrawal or the changing of the GSU police officers to the AP police officers to the deputy president's resident, both in Nairobi and in Sugoi. But later on, the CS for Interior and National Coordination, CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i, was called into Parliament and he gave his version. Do you think he played to public garrulity, or they wanted to intimidate, cajole, or rather frustrate the deputy president? What's your take?
First of all, security is a professional area.
Yes.
And the nearest I've come to firing a gun personally is lighting a matchstick. Not the nearest I've come, not the nearest I've come to gunpowder. So,
yes.
this is an area I'm very ill equipped to comment on.
All right.
But all that I pray for is that nobody's security is compromised. If Mr. Matiang'i was to be believed, is that there was a bit of abuse of the privilege, and part of it was being addressed. But I believe that our leaders are fairly secure.
All right.
I think I would not show any alarm, and even as the Vice President himself said that the APs were up to the job.
Yes.
So I don't think you need to be guided by commandos to be safe in this country. We don't have the kind of situation we have in Mexico and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I think I would rather leave it to the professionals.
All right.
Whom we have elected or given the mandate to secure our VIPs and also to secure the ordinary Kenyan.
Much obliged.
Using the same resources.
I'm informed by my director.
Of more concern for me.
Yes.
I wish you had asked me a question about OKIYA, not about the Vice President who has 3 meals a day.
Yes.
Who sleeps in our stone-walled house.
Yes.
Who, even if you placed G4S,
yes.
this gate would still be difficult to reach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more concerned in situations like OKIYA, whereby there are land questions that need to be addressed, land ownership issues that need to be addressed,
mm-hmm.
including the neo-colonial structures on the ground,
mm-hmm.
where communal grazing lands that were used during the drought season have now been converted into conservancies that are benefiting a small clique. So in the absence of building factories that can take these pastoralists in so that they don't require to keep animals and roam around.
Yes.
I think the government needs to address OKIYA. Let the boots that have been put on the ground to put the lid on the violence be maintained. But over and above, we need to drain that swamp.
Well said. Well said, ndugu OKIYA OMTATAH. Mheshimiwa, there's some allegations that even politicians have a hand in what's happening in OKIYA. We may not discuss that. The Dr. Fred Matiang'i was there recently and they slept over there, and we pray that the situation normalizes and everything goes as it is. Equally, the Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, is on record saying that if Dr. Matiang'i, as he gave the statement in Parliament that he has 15,000 hectares of land, let that land be surrendered to the commoners' use or to the public use. Lastly, on a political line, because the director is saying, is telling me that we don't have much time, I want you to give a political statement addressing the top leadership and your leadership that you're going to provide for Busia. Just in less than a minute, kindly.
I'll do it in 1 second.
Yes.
Embrace the rule of law, and all shall be well. Because the rule of law is the only thing that governs human beings.
Yes.
Even in the Bible, you will see that we lost paradise when Adam and Eve broke the law. If they had kept the law, we would still be in paradise. So let us all keep the law, obey the law, and follow the law, and we shall be free. And we shall get what is rightfully ours. But if we breach the law, if we disregard the law, we end up in some quagmire which we don't understand, and it propagates poverty. It propagates all these conflicts that we see because we don't observe we don't obey the law. That's my parting shot.
And your message to the people of Busia?
The people of Busia should just vote with their conscience. Let them vote whoever they choose. I'll present my offer If it's admirable, well and good. If it's not, let them reject. But as we say, sometimes democracy was played out on Good Friday, where the crowd demanded the release of Barabbas and they rejected the Christ. So the people of Busia should also think hard and be careful of that trap so that they don't choose a leader or any leader. And even the people of Kenya should be very careful so that they don't choose any leader who is not worth choosing. But at the end of the day, it's a democracy and the voter decides. And then the people of Busia and the people of Kenya will be ready to decide in 2022 the kind of political leadership they require. And the IBC to be up to scratch, conduct a tamper-proof election, which is anticipated in the Constitution, not just free and fair, but go the extra stage of tamper-proof so that the election is verifiable, is accurate, is simple. And everybody can know if you have gotten a zero, you hit a zero and you can't complain, and that will be it.
Very
Go
true.
home. If you have won, you have won, you're going to office.
Sure.
So that we don't have the statistics that come up whereby it's not easy to tell who has won and who has lost, or if there was an election at all.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndugu OKIYA OMTATAH. We wish you well on your political endeavors, and we ask you that you continue be the person you are right now. That was my time. I'm Job Ongera, and this is Kasa TV, and we were having a program, Let's Chat. Let's continue engaging this and so oftenly. Thank you. God bless you.